This nation was founded by men of many nations and backgrounds.
Kevin Jackson, my man.
It was founded on the principle that all men are created equal.
And
that the rights of every man are diminished when the rights of one man are threatened.
Do you understand the power this gives us?
Welcome back to another episode of Five on the Black Hand Side with your host, Hark Henry, and my man, retired police officer, Kevin Jackson. What's going on, my friend?
Retired police officer, Kevin Jackson.
What's going on, my friend?
All power to the people, man.
It's been a while since we did our last episode.
Yeah.
Because you be out there running the streets.
Yep. A lot of things has happened since the last time. We could be here for a week. Talking about some of the things that's going on.
Okay. I'm looking forward to this conversation today. What's our conversation about today, sir?
Today is about what does black mean?
What does black mean? Is that right?
To me.
Okay.
Yes.
So our conversation is what does black mean? So we're just kind of going to go into that whole conversation about what does black mean, black identity, the history, pride, pain, joy, creativity, and so much more. And we have two very, very, very lovely guests who are going to join us in this conversation. Could you please go ahead and introduce these two lovely ladies?
First up, we have Fatima Manjaroe. She is a counselor here in the Columbus area. And I met her as a youngin' a couple years ago. And I found that she's very bright, very much more mature than her age. So I'll let her introduce herself and give us a little background on what she does.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Appreciate that. I am Fatima Manjaroe, the one and only. I am a therapist by trade, but my current position serves as a supervisor for care coordinators. So I am heavily in the social work field. For my second place of employment, I also am a clinician who just conducts assessments. It's mostly crisis work at a psychiatric facility. So that's me. That's what I do. Nothing really outside. I'm gonna be honest. Outside of work, it's kind of hard to find that time to really serve the community like I want to. So it's really just kind of finding that balance. But right now, it's all about work.
All right. Thank you, Miss Fatima. And who is our other guest? Retired police officer Kevin Jackson.
See if I get this name right.
You better.
Chavela.
She says she'll cut you. Cut you if you
Did I get that right? Chavela. Chavela actually works with Fatima. And I just met her, but I heard good things about her. When we came up with this topic, that's the first name that came up. So, I got somebody to join in and give her perception of the whole thing, and it may be even different. So I'll let her go ahead and introduce herself and let us know what she does and what she's bringing to our conversation.
Right. Hello, everybody. My name is Chavela Davis. I'm a licensed social worker with the state of Ohio, so I'm a therapist as well. Mainly work in the with mental health and substance abuse, SUD field population. Done that for several years. I have a personal reason why I got into that. Also, I am an active member of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. So I do work in the community. I'm also a mentor advisor for Wilmington College for my sorority for that chapter there. So I mentor young ladies. I do kind of juggle several different businesses, but my main career is social work, therapist, counseling. I love working with people. I love helping people. And I feel that that's what I'm here to do. So thank you for having me. And thank you, Fatima, for thinking of me.
Excellent.
Of course. I speak
Excellent.
very highly of you.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm expecting good things from this conversation today. I really am, and I'm really looking forward to getting into it and getting to know both of you a little bit better. Kevin and I have worked together previously when we worked for the school system many moons ago, and we've stayed in contact pretty well. We worked together on a few things. He helped me when I was when I had a mentor program at the school we work at for emotionally disturbed children, and this is just a background for you guys. And I used to work for recreation and parks. I think Fatima, me and her went back. We were talking. She might have been one of my kids at schools out, but we don't remember. But I've been working in the community for a long time. It's something. I'm not going to say something I used to enjoy. Something I would enjoy, but after a while, politics get involved, and people start to put the handcuffs on you on certain things, and then you just got to back out, try to figure out how to do it a different way on your own way. And this right here is a different way for me to work with Kevin, who's still working in the community and where he works at. So I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to give back wherever I can and whatever I do. If you two have any programs going on in the future, I will open my schedule to do exactly whatever I can to help you out. Sounds good?
Excellent.
Sounds good.
Great.
Right. All right. So we're going to start this episode. But before we start this episode, I got to let you know this episode is brought to you by Sons of SP Phillips. Sons of SP Phillips is a online boutique that sells new and slightly used designer clothing and apparel for men and women. They also sell custom clothing and fashion accessories. Go to www.sonsofspphillips.com. You can get up to 70% off every day. Inspired by the people and motivated by the culture. That's Sons of SP Phillips, where you can get this cool beard shirt that I have on. I'm gonna get Kevin one because he got a beard like I do. So we have something for the ladies, Afro shirts. We have everything. So you gotta check them out. Again, that's Sons of SP Phillips. You can follow us on Facebook, IG, and X at Sons of SPP. All right. Great. So we're gonna start this conversation off. And first question I want us all to answer, of course, is when you hear the word black, because that's our conversation, what it means to be black. What does black mean to you or me? When you hear the word black, what type of emotions or images come to mind? What's your reaction when somebody says black?
Anyone?
Anyone go?
Okay.
It's open dialogue.
All right. For me, when I hear the word black, and I don't want to be cliche, but beautiful. And just, if you know anything about like our history and just our own personal journeys, having to kind of like create your own form of beauty because being black, it's sad that even in this day and age, a lot of times we're not, especially women, we're not preferred or picked to be the standard of beauty is. So to me, it's beautiful. I know that when I walk in rooms, oftentimes I can tell that people are gravitated towards me. And I am tall, so I kind of like bring, you're not going to miss me basically when you see me.
Right.
So, and I take pride in that, looking good, just so many things, innovative. We've created so many different things that have been trying to be silenced. And I'm still learning about my culture at 45 years old, still learning about different people in our history that didn't, their stories didn't get to the mainstream. just like the 688, the movie that came out. I was blown away. One of my sorors was a member of that. Had no idea until that movie came out. Of course, most of them have been passed on by now, but so many things. I can go on and on, but mainly beauty, survival, innovation.
Fatima, before you jump in, I want to say one thing. When you like what Chavela said, like even though we're not, you said like we're not picked to be the standard of beauty. I'm paraphrasing what you said. It's funny you say that because it's like, yeah, we're not picked, but then when you go online, they sure trying to look like us anyway. You know, people are trying to look like us anyway, filling the lips and other things. And, you know, that's interesting that you say that, because a lot of times we're not picked to the level of beauty or whatever they're looking for, but it's a lot of people out there definitely trying to look like us, try to be at least color wise, try to be close, tanning really bad and getting skin cancer and almost killing themselves to look like to have our features. And so that's really interesting. Go ahead, Fatima. I had to get that out there.
Oh no, you're good, and you're absolutely right, Chavela. It is definitely like that, and Mr. Joe, just like you said, it definitely is. We're not picked, but depending on who's viewed like us, it looks good in a right light. Let me put it like that.
Definitely.
But back to your question, when I think of Black, and just like Chavela said, not to be cliche, but I think resilience. Not in my current position, but as a therapist, just being exposed to a lot of youth and a lot of families who experience that hardship and unfortunately are part of the systematic racism, it's interesting to see the end result. Like, of course, unfortunately, you're not going to see successes in every case, unfortunately. But the cases that you do see, it's like, wow, like you really overcame all barriers against you. And just like our history we did, and just to see how that is continuing, is very interesting to see. Like, just to kind of throw out a slight small example, I had a kid who was facing juvie life in DYS. Had a kid who was facing juvie life. He was on a suspended commitment. I mean, if you're late to school, they are locking you up like unexcused. And he now is actually doing good and playing football in Georgia. So just to kind of see, like, man, they were really counting on you to fail, like, by all means. So yeah, when I think of Black, I definitely think resilience for sure.
Right. Definitely.
Absolutely.
Retired police
I
officer
knew I
Kevin
shouldn't have
Jackson.
went third. Man, because y'all, the differences in ages is not by accident here, because I'm the old man. And if you ask me that question at 45 or at 24, it would certainly be different than what my answer is today. Because when I think of Black, I do think of resilience, perseverance, beautiful. I grew up in the 70s, so it was Black pride. So I think as I've gotten older, those things and then some have come into what I think about being Black, or what Black is. And I grew up in the 70s, so we did not fall into that you are what we say you are mentality, because we were self-reflective. We were looking within ourselves, not to get someone else, some other culture, to say that we belong or we are important. It didn't matter, because we were important. It mattered to us. So, and that's how my journey into being Black started, and so it has evolved. So I wanted, when I asked this question, I wouldn't ask somebody in my own generation, because especially in my circle, we're all going to say the same thing. I wanted to know what it is now, because it has certainly changed from the 70s. I don't remember the 60s, I think that's why I call me a 70s baby, because that's when I started to learn outside of my home what Black was. And thankfully, that was the time when we were delving into the Black Pride. I remember the Black Panthers. I don't remember Martin Luther King. He was assassinated when I was 3, but I remember the response to that. So yes, resilient, beautiful, prideful, and ongoing successful. And I don't have to be convinced of that, because when you say Black, that's what I see.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I think,
Good
can
work.
I
Good
say
work.
something really quick?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was wonderful. And so I thought it was, when I was looking over everything, just the name of the podcast, Five on the Black Hand Side, I was like, wow, I can't wait to see who is responsible for this, because I know that was a movie, and I'm very familiar with. There's a documentary actually on Netflix called "Am I Black Enough for You?" I believe that's the name of it, and they talk about that movie amongst other movies. So I thought that was very powerful in the wording and narrative, for one. And then you put me in the mind of just telling your story and journey about Asada, who just passed away. And I'm sure that was during the time of, it was like real life for you. I'm reading it in a book about her autobiography, and I made sure that I got a copy, because, just with CRT and what's going on, it's very important to start getting books and stuff just to have in your own library. So when you were talking, those things came to mind. So I know that was very real for you in real time. So
Right. Uh, that's good. That's good work. That's good work. For me, so many things come to mind, and I know some of the things I have to reserve for a later conversation. But it's not complex, but it's a lot, because even though I'm a little bit younger than Kevin, I've seen things and experienced things that I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to experience. And I think that's what shaped me to be the person I am and have the expectations that I have of my people. So, and I at one time, oftentimes I do kind of do a deep dive on our history and our background. And sometimes I get upset that there's only so far I can go back to figure out who I am and where I came from. And that leaves me disappointed a lot. So again, I agree with the resilient part. I agree with the strong part. Definitely agree with the beautiful part. But to me, I just say extraordinary, because we are people who come from struggle.
yes,
And our ancestors come from struggle. And our ancestors' ancestors come from struggle. We persevered, we've overcome all the way from Africa for whatever was going on in Africa, that where, I can't get that direct history. There's always something, because even if you do the deep dive, you can see that there's other things going on. And like even now, the most recent thing that I've been hearing, that maybe this happened in the last, I mean, it's been happening, but it came to my attention maybe last year, about how they try to whitewash or black out our history in Africa, Egypt of all places. And there's there's two sides of Egypt, and then if you go to Egypt, you go to one side, people are a lot darker than the ones you see on TV and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, okay, really, really, really. And when I went to the Smithsonian, there's an exhibit that says that. And then, that's why I be like, man, we just keep overcoming, going through this. Why? So for me, that's what being Black means to me. It makes me emotional. So that's where I'm at with it right now. So, but it leads me into the next segue to the next one. What is your relationship with your identity? And my relationship not what my identity, but our identity is where I get frustrated, because I think with our people, I'm kind of like, why do we just settle on the word black? You know what I mean? When I think there's more to us. And then I get upset and I get emotional when you can ask a white person, what are you? He's, well, I'm an Irish American, or I'm an Italian, or I'm Asian Korean. And we just say, well, I'm black. And so I had to look up some information just to see, like, why did we settle on that? And where did that come from? So, I mean, y'all free to answer on that as much as you want, how you feel about that, or if I'm even wrong about that. But I can elaborate on it more.
I ain't
Go
gonna lie
ahead.
to you, girl. I got something today.
Go
I
ahead.
think,
Give me that. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I feel that way.
yeah, I am more curious on that. I want you to kind of tell me a little bit why first, just so I can, at that point, then I'll say what I need to say.
I was gonna say,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think it kind of going back to what Mr. Kevin was saying about journeys. I know, like with Roots, how when that came out, people started looking back into their history, where they came from. But I think because of what happened to us, there's not really that much of folklore or history passed down. And even sad to say, but even with me, I know some things, but I don't know, because some Black Americans were not slaves. And so I don't know enough to even go back to say, well, yes, it stopped in this generation in my family, which is sad to say, because it's never, I mean, any time is no time is the best time like the present. I can still do it. However, I think it's just lack of knowledge of that information, which ties right into it, because we can't. And it's so true. You can ask anybody; they can go all the way back. Well, Ellis Island, my such and such came here, and in 1900, and it's just like, wow. But bringing it to perspective it's very true. I've never thought of it like that. So that's a good question.
Yeah,
go ahead.
But you brought up something. Joe,
go ahead.
well, Joe, you brought up something that kind of made me think back as I was going over this question, even though I was the one that asked the question. But one of the reasons why this question came up is just like you said, though. Why can't Black people be seen as multifaceted? Why do we have to fit in the same box? We're human beings of color. That doesn't make us unique to one way of thinking or another. We are all, I look at it as we're all products of our environment, products of being brought up. But the one thing that we do have in common is the fact that as a people, our history started with a vote and forced labor. Now, we can try to go back to African, but we're not Africans. Our ancestors were Africans, but African American or Black American is a whole culture within itself. Unless you've been Black in America, you are not a Black American, because we have been shaped based on what has been done to us. And if we must embrace that, because again, we're persevered. We are resilient. We, like I said in the last podcast, Joe, if a slave owner came out the hole, he would not want to do it. Because once he see what Black folks is doing based on the way that they treated us, they would go back in and say, no, thank you. Because there's something going on with these things. Because it's a lot. So putting into what I think Black is, fear is one of those adjectives that you can put in there that transcends all generations, because we've always been feared to be left alone and do what we are capable of doing. So feared that we would take over, because we are those people who have survived what was not survivable for anyone. No one has survived what we survived. So why can't we? But also we can be multifaceted. And one of the things is, if you don't think that we are, go from Ohio to Alabama. Go to Alabama, to Maine. Go across this country, and you're going to see Black folks doing different things based on their environment, based on where they're at, their upbringing, and everything. We don't all fit in one box. And the problem is when you hear, like you said, Joe, when you hear Black, everybody is put into this whole picture of what Black is in America, and it's just not that way. The thing is, the reason why a lot of people think that way is if we are all put in the same box, then all we got to do is sit on that box. We don't have to go out and catch other things that are going on. If everybody is put in one box, all we got to do is shut that one box down. And unfortunately for the rest of them, that's just not happening. We keep emerging. Every time we're put under, we come back up. So that's the fear that America has for allowing us to be who we are collectively. Individually, we're not a threat, but collectively, absolutely.
Go and tell pro.
That is very true. That is very true. I guess I'm trying to make sense of, so when we say settle for Black, I guess for me, my perception is that it's so fetishized to be foreign. When you're foreign, it's fetishized. People like, oh, you foreign? And they're so like infatuated. But when you say Black, it just brings up, and I guess technically kind of going back to Chavela's standard of beauty, it just kind of goes back to when you're foreign, you're more
exotic.
Exactly. You're more like you fit the standard, you fit the narrative. But when you just say Black, they have a different image of beauty. So I guess for me, and I guess this is also like for later on in a conversation when we start more getting into like background and what shaped your perspective of being Black. But considering the background that I come from, I'm more than, to me, it's not really a settling to be Black. It kind of honestly irritates me when you ask a person what they're like, what's your ethnicity? And they come out with all of these ethnicities. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
Irish,
stupid.
on this. Why can't you? It comes off to me as, okay, are you embarrassed to just say Black?
And I've seen this in real time.
Yeah. Yes, because it's kind of irritating because it's like, okay, you want the picture to be painted like you're of difference than being Black because you have more heritage. But like what's wrong with being
Good enough.
Right.
Exactly. Like
Right.
being Black is not just good enough, but why isn't it? I guess that's my perception on it.
Yeah.
Right. And I understand it. And the reason why I say it that way, because we're in this mode now where everybody wants to be Black. So I'm just like, what is it now? Is it a construct? Is it a label? Is it a culture? What is it? So like when you had the what was the white girl's name was going around saying she was Black when she obviously wasn't. So
Yeah.
things like that.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
like, well, I'm Black. So what?
Yeah.
How do you say you're Black? And then when you have like Cardi B and then Jocelyn, whatever her name is, like, well, I'm Black. And then, you know, it's like people want to be Black for the cultural aspects of it or the notoriety of it. And then it's like sometimes we accept and then push back because then we get upset when other artists are successful off of, you know, our Black culture. And he's like, no, y'all can't say the N-word because you're Puerto Rican or whatever. So that's why, like, for me, that's where it kind of gets topsy-turvy. What do we want? Where are we at? What are we going? Is it, is Black what we are, or is it a culture, or is it the barrier we want to stay under? So that's where I kind of get like, you know, what are we? Where am I? Where are we going? And you know, just the conversations past that just kind of gets me like, I get emotional about my people because I want us to be our best selves and I want us to be recognized at our best selves. If you want to be a part of it, be a part of it, but don't try to take it over. It's my thing. So And like I said, we accept so much and let so much happen, and then we want to push it out and try to direct things. And that's why I just kind of like, where we going? That's my thing.
I think especially in culture, I think is what's opportune, like it's an opportunistic thing, or what sells, or what gets people where they want to be. Especially like in music, with the white nationalism, with the evangelicals and all that going on right now. I can't think of the guy's name, but he was on a song with Kirk Franklin. And someone put up a picture of him with the cornrows and everything. And he actually was one of the performers at the Kirk Memorial. And now he's gotten into that white nationalism space, but he came up under Kirk Franklin, and now he's wearing the like cowboy aesthetic and all of that. And it's
like Kid Rock.
Very much so. It's what, and I think because going back to what you said, Joe, the standard is so low. Like I seen someone, I follow his page, and he was talking about how like Jewish community or whatever, you don't just walk into those communities and just be able to do this and do that, and take this, and take that. And that's because they have a standard. You know what I mean? You're not allowed to just walk in. And he was upset, more passionate like you, saying, why do we as Black people do that or allow that? You know what I mean? And it goes back to what you're saying. It's so true. So many people have done it. So many people have done it. I'm a music person, so music is one of the things that come to mind, but we can look at almost anything, you know, culture-wise, and that has happened. And I think it's an opportunity. You know, I could do this. I can, and most people, even Paula White, she came up under T.D. Jakes. She came up under the Black church. And look, I was shocked because I followed her back in the day. I mean, I would listen to her. I should say follow her, but I would listen to some of her sermons. And we could keep on going with it. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, definitely. And I thought we said we were revoking the invitations to the cookout.
Man.
I thought we were revoking them. We got to talk to
earned
the board.
it, but
We got to talk to the board because it's not like people still passing them out. Like
yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out why. I think Black people are naturally empathetic. We're naturally accepting. We were so oppressed and still are that we're just naturally accepting of people. And to me, that does set the standard low, just because. Okay, you see a white person have a little bit of rhythm. Now it's okay, you're invited to the cookout, but they're not inviting you to the hoedown. So I'm just a little confused on why the standard is so low. Just because like, and when we get into music, it's when you are imitating Black culture and you're reaping the benefits of it, that is it's insulting. It's very insulting because by experience, you're not experiencing the same thing. All you're doing is imitating the culture and the creativity and reaping the benefits, but you're truly, and just like the saying goes, everybody wants to be Black until it's time to truly be Black. You're not experiencing none of that. And that's why I hate to drop this ball. But since we in a conversation, and Mr. Kevin knows I think like this, I personally do not believe that biracial people are Black. That's just me. I know a lot of people will have a different view, but I don't think so.
We done got her started.
I don't think so.
We done got her started. Can you please?
Conservative.
I didn't know we was going there.
Conservative.
Yeah.
Can I hear why?
Let me now.
Hold on, Kevin.
Let the old guy
trying to get something out.
Add something in that. Let me. And this is the reason why we have different generational people, because we have different energies. Of course, again, if you asked me 30 years ago this same question, we have the same. My take on it is going to be different, but in the years that I've gone through this, one of the things that I had to focus on is power. And I know me and Joe talk about power all the time. But if you look at, like you said, we're imitated. Sometimes we're imitated and then we're changed. to fit a narrative. But with imitation comes influence. And with influence comes power. That last part is what we're missing. Like you said, if you come to the cookout and you dance like we dance, and you play cards like we do, you're invited, but you're not a part of it. We can use that influence to influence you to think about the stuff that you don't see, like riding in the car down the street, minding your own business, and the blue lights come on, and fear comes through your whole body, and you've not done anything wrong. White folks ain't listening. They not here. They not feeling that. But when we get pulled over, at some point, I'm gonna let you feel that, because this is what it is to be Black in America. And Joe, no, I'm not going to try to explain what Black is to somebody who's not. It's like trying to explain what blue is to a blind person and you never seen the color. That's impossible. Because you haven't experienced it, we can't have you go through it. You get to come to the barbecue, but after a while, you're going to have to take your plate and leave. Because you're going to take your plate and leave anyway. That doesn't mean that you can't come in. Because at some point, you're going to get it. At some point, you're going to understand. Why do you think some of these white folks, when we hear stuff on TV and they genuinely are appalled, or even they are taken aback from it, because they've been on the other side. They're not Black, but they've been on the other side. So instead of us cutting them off, use our influence to explain what Black is, versus cutting them off and letting them figure it out for themselves. Because if they try to figure it out for themselves, blue gonna turn to be red.
Yeah.
Right. Let me
I'm sorry
get
to
in
go
with
deep
that.
on y'all, but
That's
Fatima,
That was
Fatima about to
that
get
was
this episode banned, so that's okay.
okay.
No.
That's what I need.
I
I need some hate
That's
mail.
my pearls.
I feel what Kevin is saying. So my wife tried to say, she said, "You're a racist." I said, "No, I'm not a racist, because I have white friends that I admire and I have love for them. There's a couple I can call, I can say that's my brother, because I know that person from where I'm from. I can appreciate. It's not that I have a lack of love or respect for them, but sometimes I'm sure they don't know. There's a difference between those that don't know and those that don't want to know. And the ones that don't know are asking. They're asking, "Can I come to the cookout?" And I say that because a teacher that he and I used to work with a couple years back, she called me, not frantic, but her and her husband called me, and she's like, "I don't understand the Black Lives Matter and the Blue Lives Matter." She said, "We, because I guess somebody from the police force had quit or got fired for whatever was going on in the city a couple of years ago, and they put a sign out, and she said all their Black neighbors like gave them the business." And she said, "Hart, we don't understand." And that I can appreciate. When you're calling and say, "I don't understand. Can you explain it to us?" Just because I put out Blue Lives, that doesn't mean I hate Black people or I'm not with Black Lives Matter. So she's like just going all over the place with it, to where she's like, I had to be like, "Hold up, don't say too much. let me get in there a little bit and try to clear this up for you as much as I could." And I think I did a little bit. And I said, you have to look at it as far as when we're saying Black Lives Matter, we're talking about ourselves as a people. We matter. But when you're talking about blue lives, you're talking about an occupation. And that's where our conflict is, because we have people of occupation coming against people of life, taking our life and things. So it's an opposing force. So she kind of got it, and she was okay a little bit. they haven't called me back, but I think I tried to explain it to her the best way I could. And then on that note, I had a friend of mine who was white, maybe Jewish or whatever, and me and him kind of go back and forth, and he's cool. But sometimes he says things. I'm like, hold on, man, you got to back up a little bit. And he said, oh, I understand things. I was riding with my friends, and we got pulled over, and I got treated like a black person. What does that mean? I'm like, I was like, that doesn't give you the ticket to the cookout. You know what I'm saying? Even though we have the same friends, but I'm like, I had to be like, what does that mean? That you're treated like a black person? Because there's a problem. It's wrong that you got treated wrong, but
there's a problem. So
there's a problem. Yeah, there's a problem in that statement for you to say that. And so there's a lot of ignorance and miseducation going on out there. And again, when I say we have that confusion, then you just got people sliding in under and under and under, trying to get under when we got this confusion above, our security or whatever you want to call it, and people just trying to slide in under it. That's why I get back like, where are we going? What's our representation, and why is everybody just trying to jump in? Mm-hmm. And I think that leads back to what Fatima says. She doesn't think all biracial people are black, which is
I got to hear this.
I forgot about that whole statement.
I think
I'm not mad at it, but go ahead. That's why we're here. Ain't no judgment. It's all love. It's good work.
I think historically, yes. You have a little bit of black in you. They're classifying you as black. Okay, fine. But, and I guess that goes back to the main question on what does being black mean to you? Because also what plays into that is experience. To me, and I'm not saying it doesn't happen, because I'm just saying I've never seen it with my eyes. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. It says reconnected on my end. But I'm just going to say that I've never seen it with my eyes. But biracial people have the luxury of both using your black card and your white card. And I think truly being black means you don't get a card. You're just all around honestly oppressed. Like, not saying that there's not any spaces in the entire world that doesn't accept you, because that's not true. I've never felt blacker when I was in Jamaica, and I know that's a safe space for me, and I want to continue going back every chance that I get.
Yes.
But what I will say is you can't classify yourself as black and have the luxury of being in multiple spaces where you get a privilege that black people don't get. So to me, I'm not denying that you have black in you or you have a half black parent, but can you really classify yourself as truly black? Like, because some biracial people be like, I don't care what nobody say, I'm black. No, you're biracial, because you can use both. And I feel like I said before, if you're truly black, you can't use both.
Let me ask you a question. I'm glad. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say, I see what you're saying, but it also goes back to experience and like how they were raised as well. Because someone that, their mom or dad, whoever is white, black, it's how they identify themselves. So if they say that I'm a black person, then they're more than likely not going to try to use that white card wherever they want to. And then you have the flip side of that, where someone that is raised in a predominantly white family, whatever experience, then I feel like those are sometimes the people that kind of struggle with, like, I know I'm black, but I see myself as white. And they kind of struggle in different arenas, especially where it's like, it's kind of like a lot of anti-blackness. So I definitely see what you're saying. But I've seen both type of individuals where they're like, no, I'm black. I don't care. And that's how they were raised as well. Like, you know what I mean? So it just kind of, that's my little take on it. But Fatima, you done broke that down to Fatima.
No, I get what she's saying, but let me
I do.
check this out. So I've got a friend on my other podcast. I talked to her, and she's black. She's married to a white man, and she has 2 boys. And we were talking about raising biracial children. And she says one of her sons is darker than the other one.
Mm.
And this was something I heard from Michael Eric Dyson.
Mm-hmm.
And I explain that later. But I was asking her about, how's that work for them, being biracial, this and this. She said, I can see with my darker skinned son, who looks naturally black, where he struggles and why he struggles in school and with people and all that. And his brother, who's lighter, who can probably pass for white, she says, even though he knows he's biracial, she said he uses, in so many words, she said he uses that to his advantage.
Mm-hmm.
So, like when he needs something or he needs to fit into something or get something or whatever, she said he'll use that to his advantage in a way that his darker skinned brother can't. Manipulate his way through. And Michael Eric Dyson, who's a writer, he talked about him and his brother, who I think he passed away, but he was in prison, and his brother was darker. His older brother was darker than him, and he said growing up, he could definitely tell that people would treat him differently than his brother, which probably contributed to him on his trajectory to crime and in prison and the way he lived his life, because he was of darker skin. And he said, because I was lighter skin, I got treated different and things like that. And I don't even think he's biracial, but of course that gene is in him. So, and then again, and that's why I say, what is black? If she's saying biracial people just jumping in on it because they want to when they want to, why are we settling on that? So sometimes when I'm filling out an application, they'll ask if you're Latino. You say no. Then they'll say they've gotten better on it. They say black or African American ancestry or something like that. So I'll check that. But I used to check other and put African American on just because that's my conversation right now.
Yeah. Did you get hired?
I don't get hired on any of us. Well, I was working where you was working at for a minute.
That's true. That
So
is true.
to put mine in there, and I listen to what Chavela said, and what Fatima always tells me, because I know what Fatima thinks. She gonna let me know. I think it goes to why we are asking this question, because we said what black was, but who is ultimately defined what black is?
Wow.
See, that's the bigger question. What is how do you act black? We've heard people say, well, you're trying to act black. What does that mean? Because your interpretation, whoever it's coming from, your interpretation of acting black could be totally different than the way I act or the way that my circle acts. So am I not black enough, or am I not black? So that's the problem, that a question like this actually tries to litigate, but we can't, because we have to define what black is. Or do we have to define? Because if we define it, then we're defining it as this one thing, and we know that it's not.
Right,
so when it comes to implicit bias, there is a way that they think of what black is and puts everybody in the same box, until you meet somebody that does not meet that definition. Rather they're dark as me or as light as my biracial granddaughter, who the only thing black on her is her hair. You would not know she was biracial if her hair wasn't biracial. So, but who is to define if she's black or not? And how can we know who we are if we allow somebody else to define what black is? You're not acting black. Well, what does that, anytime somebody says that to me, black or white, I'll say, well, what does that mean? I've been told that I sound like a white guy. What does that mean? On the telephone, oh, well, you sounded white. What does that mean? Because I've always sounded like this. Do you have to see me to understand who I am? Or can you listen to the words that I'm saying? Because why does it matter what color I am if the content of what I'm saying is either right or wrong? Is it
Yeah.
informative?
Content of our character.
But a lot of times we focus on what identity that somebody has told us that we are. And that's
It's
why
so
our children today are confused, because they
yes.
are faced with so many different ideas of what Black is. And the most influential thing, and I think we hit on it earlier, was music.
Oh yeah.
Music is highly influential.
Mm-hmm.
So am I supposed to say that I'm supposed to emulate this person because they're influential at a time that I'm most influenced? No, that doesn't mean that the reason why they act like that is that doesn't mean Black. And as I was growing up, that was never a definition of Black. You know, we can talk about Lil Wayne and some of these other people who depict Black on a large scale, but people can look back and look at Rick James, or look at Parliament Funkadelic, or look at
Absolutely.
Prince for all of that,
Yep.
and to say, God, thank God that they weren't the standard of what Black was.
Yep.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big Prince fan, but I didn't
Mm-hmm.
dress like him. I didn't act like him. I wasn't as sexualized as he was. But today, music is so much more influential because of how we get it. And so we're allowing someone else to define what Black is. And then our kids are confused because they say, well, mom and dad don't walk around talking like this, but I'm hearing what these people are saying all day long. Who's the ones having most fun? You know, and why are they? They doing what they want to do. And it doesn't define who we are. It's just an influence. But if we don't change that influence, then this is what we have. We have kids out here killing each other thinking it's fun, or speaking in a dialect that only they can understand, or under achieving because somehow somebody told them if you achieve, then you're not Black. So we have to battle that. Those of us who know the difference and know better, then we have to battle that, irregardless of what shade you are,
Yeah.
or even the way that you grew up, because we ourselves have to define what Black is, and we have not yet done that. As a community, we haven't done it.
Yeah.
I want to say, Mr. Kevin, so I love music, so in movies, so my mind always kind of like goes to different things. So when you were speaking, it made me think about the movie when Denzel played Malcolm X, and when he was in prison and he went to the dictionary to look up Black and what everything that described Black versus what described white. That was a very powerful, but it goes back into what you're saying, like, because his whole point was you have to change that narrative of what's said about us, or how we're perceived and all of those things, and then you're going to internalize that. So that's what he was speaking to, kind of like in that scene, but it kind of ties into what you were saying.
I guess that could be a controversial question, because to what Mr. Kevin was saying, if we don't have a definition of Black, then anybody can just jump in and kind of think that they can fit that narrative. But if we do have a definition of Black, then at the same time, exactly, or create their own.
Mm-hmm.
But if we do have a definition, then does that mean we fit into the stereotypical narrative that they put upon us? So I guess it could be kind of controversial. It's like we do need a definition, because with any other race, nobody's just trying to jump in. So, but if we do have a definition of what Black is, then is the definition fitting into that stereotype? So I guess it could go both ways.
I think it gets to now, the part of our conversation is who gets to define it? Who gets to define what Black is? Do we define it as a community and hold on to it? Or do we let someone else define us? Have they always been doing it? Because if you allow somebody to define who you are, that's to their advantage, not yours.
Yep.
If I want to define you as a person with virtue, then that's going to somehow it's going to benefit you. But in the Black community, that's just not, I can't think of any era, Gen X, Gen Z, the greatest generation, or any of it. I can't think of anyone who had defined what Black is to uplift an entire community. This is where we need to get to. We need to not only define it, but we need to believe what it is. Because the question that we ask, we all individually have an understanding what Black is, but do we believe it? And in the way that you show that you believe it is you live it. So when you see your brothers out there, and if Black is beautiful, then you embrace beauty.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we don't sit and talk about a brother who's down on his luck with someone who's trying to uplift their definition. You know, one thing my mom always told me, and I guess it was Chris Rock's mom always told him, don't fight in front of white folks. That was actually something that she said. Don't ever fight in front of white people. Because why? Because you're fitting a narrative that they put out there that we hate each other.
Yeah.
So don't like that person. Don't fight in front of them. Don't solidify their way of thinking about us. We need to change it within. We need to change what we're being perceived as. Because right now we have people who are trying to who have given in, like Joe said, who have given in to what your definition of Black is. Because it's easier. I'm not trying to change people's mind, but I'm going to be who I am, regardless of what you think I am. You can call me whatever you want, but at the end of the day, I'm the one that has to look in the mirror and see who I am. We got to get that across to our young people, because right now we're following somebody else's narrative, and it's not to our advantage.
Yeah, that's true.
Social media makes that fighting part hard now, especially on these cruise ships. Because I don't know what
Did you
the heck.
say the cruise ships?
Yeah, man. I don't know what's wrong with our cousins where you wait to get on a boat in the middle of the water and want to fight somebody. That's crazy.
Man.
That ain't Black.
No.
I don't want to be in that Black umbrella.
Yeah, that's true.
Fighting in the middle of water. That's nonsense.
I ain't fighting. I'm too old. I'm too old. My knee hurt. My back. I can't be fighting.
Yeah, this is definitely some good work. I want to switch it up a little bit when it comes to, because we really touched on like music. So when we're talking about art and music and everything like that, I think that's really a strong part of our culture, because historically our ancestors communicated through rhythm and drums and things like that. So what are some key things for you that sticks out in our culture that just makes you kind of proud as far as the artistic side of it? Or it don't even have to be like now. I'm just like saying something in general. What is it?
I think the imitation of what we are, musical. Imitation is a form of flattery. So we have been imitated through music, through our passion and emotion that we show through music, that you can't help but to embrace it. Because we ain't cool, we cold. I mean, we have made cool cold. I mean, you just think back in the day of those artists, and even some now today that embrace that old school R&B, soul, gospel, all of that. It's still here. It may not be the mainstream of what people think Black music is, but it's still out there. And I think as long as we expose our kids, our youth, to what that is, I think that we can turn that mainstream definition of what Black is, especially Black youth. Look at this thing that's going on with Diddy. Somebody need to learn something from that. You know, somebody needed, and Joe, we need to do a podcast on that whole thing to bring that thing around to see what actually happened.
I'm
We
not
got
on Diddy's side on
conspiracies
this.
about why he did this and why he did that and why they did this to him and why they did that. But we all know, especially someone my age, we know that we knew that that was going to happen, first of all. But we all know why that occurred and why it happened. And it's not a conspiracy if it continues to happen. So we got to get these young people to understand that you come from a soulful, very loving, emotional people, and that's being lost through our music. I mean, yeah, you got Kirk Franklin out there, and I'm not a big Kirk Franklin fan, but I have listened to some of his stuff because he's brought young people in there. Now, where he's trying to take them is something different, but as far as him bringing in, I can remember the old Kirk Franklin stuff.
Yes,
but then you got to remember that he's a businessman. He's a businessman, and you know, we can call him a sellout if we want to, but he's doing something that a lot of people are not doing, and that's bringing them into the fold. Our people are spiritual. We never left being spiritual. Maybe it means something different than when I went to church or when I was, you know, in the life, but we still are spiritual people. That comes out in our music, that comes out in our relationships, and it comes out in how our kids can go from the jailhouse to the church and know how to deal with both of them. But we need to get them out of the jailhouse, put them in the church, and change it to what they need in order for them to come back to what Black is. Because Black is not going to prison. Black is not stealing cars. Black is not being 13 years old and cussing your mom out. When did that ever happen? But where are they getting this stuff from? Social media and the music and just free and do what you want to do. We've never been that way. So what we got to do is we got to bring it back. And I'm trying my best, but I'm only one person. But if one reach one, teach one, if we can get the influencers to buy into this, then why can't we change the narrative of what Black is?
Again, when you were talking, it made me think of James Brown, especially back in the day, what he represented, not just how he changed music, but what he represented and how I think a lot of people forget how powerful he was. And just with the say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud. Like he actually, like, I just feel like artists back then were kind of like fearless and they used their music to like really make an impact. I really don't know if I see that so much now. With cancel culture and stuff, people so scared to say certain stuff and all of that. But like, he literally saved a whole city, Boston, when Dr. King was assassinated, and there was no riots. That's how powerful. Like people listened. We listened to him. You know what I mean? And he was for his people. You know what I mean? So that was we were talking. I was thinking about that. And just just in general, just like his pride and how he loved his people. He wanted his people to be better, and not take he definitely didn't believe in like victimhood or whatever of his own people because he was very much a conservative back then. Back then, different but very much like he was the first. Talk about innovation, the first to do all kind of. He made that money was in house. His money was in house. You know, he was the first artist to have their own jet, like to fly, and just a lot of entrepreneurship with him. And I know that kind of like, and I hate how things in later years tarnish people's names and stuff. Same thing with Rick James. Rick James was a musical genius. People know him from the Dave Chappelle now, but you got to know people's history, their journey, and who they are. You know what I mean? So very, very powerful. Like when I just go back and it's like, and I've always seen certain things happen in history and, Dr. King's assassination and things like that. And it's like, I would always say, well, what would I be doing? And it's like the world is like slowly, I can't even say slowly now, but it's just like going back. So I have to do something. I do what I can, but I just, sometimes I feel like I'm not doing enough, with everything that's changing and happening now. It's a scary situation. And those situations weren't that far removed, but it's like, that's what people want us to go back to, where we were definitely severely like separated and oppressed, and we didn't have a voice at all. So I never thought I would see that. I think about my grandmother all the time. She passed away when she was 95, and what she's seen. And then I'm glad she's not alive to see this now. Like, you know what I mean? To see what's going on now. It's heartbreaking. It brought me to tears the other week. Like, just to think all her and my grandfather went through. Oof, they were born in 24 and 25, 1924 and 1925. And I know they probably never would have thought. Yeah.
Where were they at?
What'd you say?
Where were they at in 24, 25? Where were they
My
from?
grandfather's from Statesville, North Carolina. And then my grandmother, she's born and raised in Columbus, Ohio. But her mother was from Georgia. So my grandfather passed when I was 12, but I just remember a lot of his wisdom and just his stories of what he encountered with Jim Crow and all of that. It's, and I just can't even imagine if they were still alive. You know what I mean? Like, I know they never thought that it would go back to what and that's what, I mean, and they wanted to go all, from the way things are going, they want to go all the way back. All the way back.
Yeah. I think we're also kind of touching base on, like, when it comes to music, the soul thing, the soul aspect of music is creativity. And that's what Black people are. Like, they're creative, like from clothes to shoes to music. Like, Black people create. So, I mean, this country is built off of Black people, like that alone. But Black people bring so much creativity to the table. And I think if we were to tap more into that, I truly believe it will also help aid, like, the issues that lie in our community too. But I think because Black people are so, like, competitive, and you see somebody tapping into their creativity and they're getting closer to what you want, they kind of gatekeep in a way. They gatekeep. They try to block what that person has going on. But also that kind of brings into another, like, once a Black person is successful, I guess that's another thing. What kind of defines success? Because if a Black person is successful and they're reaping all the benefits that maybe less fortunate Black people have, you come back to your family, they're like, oh, you think you white now, or oh, you acting white. And it's like, what is that? Because it's a success that you don't really see in a Black community, and you only think white people can achieve that. So is that kind of what you're classifying as being white? You know what I'm saying? And then now they're ready to pull your Black card. So it's just kind of like, no, that's a good one.
That's good what you said. And then you think about what happened to Nipsey Hussle. Somebody that he did go back. He did do all that. He was in the community, and then look what happened to him. You know what I mean? So then it's like they battle with that too, because it's crazy. It's true. It's true.
That what Fatima just said. Fatima be getting stuff started, man.
I got to. You got to. Somebody got to do it.
No.
All the time.
But like the point she made reminded me of a conversation I just had with somebody on TikTok. Because recently, y'all know, Risha's Bakery moved to Gahanna from Livingston.
Chavela, keep talking about that. Please don't get her started.
Yeah, but it's a lot of people mad about it. But I went on a comment. I was like, hey, me and somebody else was kind of on the same accord, and he's like, it's a mindset. He's like, you can't stay in the hood forever. And then the one person was like, well, it's the hood that made them what they are. So I was like, well, they was there before the hood turned into the hood. So, so again, you can't stay in the hood forever. Take it as a mindset change. It is, they're not going to be successful. Oh yeah, they will. Because a lot of those people that from Gahanna that didn't want to go over there for whatever reason, now they got it at their doorstep. So yeah, it's just like a mindset change on certain things, like she was saying before. And it's just, I don't know. It's just one of those things. But like culturally, one of the things that made me so proud is when hip hop moved into the what do we call that era with Public Enemy and all that
Yes.
conscious era. When I was
Yes.
very proud of that. I was deep into that Public Enemy, X Clan, and all that. And then when it switched out on me, I was disappointed. But then it came back around for me when Neo Soul started.
Mm-hmm.
When Neo Soul came out, man,
yeah.
I thought I was gonna be in love with every woman I saw on the street. You know, because they was just like talking to me about. I mean, the music. You know, whoever came out with whatever, I'm like, oh, I'm about to make a CD out of this.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
It was just that creativity because I just felt in both eras they were tuning into something. You know, on the hip hop side, it was an awakening. When self-destruction popped out, it was an awakening. And then when the West Coast did All in the Same Gang, that was another awakening. And I'm like, oh man, they doing it. They putting it out there. They, even though they're like NWA, they're saying this, but they're telling their story, and then they're coming back. Yo, it's not all that, you know, like we're not all in this same game. It's something different out here that we can do. And when that era was out there, man, I was in it. I wanted an African medallion. I wanted this. I wanted that.
I had one.
That's what the Malcolm X movie came out. That was me. I had the Malcolm X glasses. I had a baseball shirt with the X. My boys would tell you. And then when they made the air raids with the grid, I was in it. That was me. I was having custom-made jerseys with Malcolm X on the walk around Canton, Ohio. They knew it. And then when that faded out, and like I said, when Neo Soul came in, and everybody started really getting back into the spoken word and stuff, and I was like, man, it's here again. We tuning in, and then they phased it out with just R&B again. I'm like, can't make love to everybody I see on the street anymore. Had to chill out.
Wait a minute. That's funny.
But yeah,
I like what I hear now. I've been listening to. I've been getting away from Motown and getting away from the stuff that I grew up with. And I'm starting to listen to the new entertainers out here, and it's the same stuff. And they've learned. If we haven't learned as citizens and community, they've learned. We can take the essence of what we were back in the 70s and the 80s, and we can not recreate it, but we can embrace it as our own. And that's what they're doing. And you can, and I hear it in the music. Now, it's not mainstream, but when I was growing up, we had two charts. We had the 100 pop chart, and we had the Ebony Jet magazine list of top music.
Yes. I used to go to the back of it.
I didn't know anything about the top 100 pop chart. You know why? Because I wasn't listening to that.
I used to stop in the middle.
I was listening to what came out in Jet, like the little magazine, and I tried to get every record that was on top 3. And I agreed with it because that's what I was listening to. That's what we need to go back to. We need to take charge of us. We somehow or another, somebody found out that Black folks got money and will spend it, but they also could change what we spent it on. We embrace, or they embrace the negative things about our community and exploited it and made it Black. That's not, going to jail is not Black. Going to jail is going to jail because you made a crime. Period. Because you asked
12 babies
you asked
Black.
The last white dude that got locked up. He ain't Black and he going to jail too. So that's not a Black thing. But in the music, that was a badge of honor.
Yes.
It wasn't, and they made it a badge of honor. So we need to take that back, and we need to tell them that, we are not those people. We are the lovers. We are the cool people. We are the ones who created rhythm and blues. We created rock and roll. We created jazz, and gospel ain't never went nowhere. It is a very soulful existence. And when people are rocking to that thing that makes that soothes them, they are going to be less likely to hate each other. If that person who was putting out that soulful music or those soulful sounds or how I treat my lady or how I treat my man the right way, they can believe it because they believe in the opposite right now. Calling women out their name, nothing that you would know, or nobody calling your sister or mother or grandmother or whoever, but they'll use it in a heartbeat. And why? Because they suggested that if you want to be black, if you want to make money rapping, this is the language that you have to use. But like Fatima said, or Chavela said, if they said that in front of your grandparents, that would be so hurtful because that was not something that was in us. That was not black. That was extremely uneducated foolishness. We've now gotten into now that's the way we talk. And it's just that's not something that I want our young people to think that that's who, especially coming up to me talking crazy. Because I'm sitting here with a gray beard and old enough to be your grandfather, and you talking to me like we hanging out on the block. That never happened.
Yeah.
You could be pushing a cart down the street with cans in it, and I'm gonna call you Mister.
See?
Respect
That's where
is gone,
came from.
and we need to put that
I want
back
to
in.
jump in.
That respect.
Go ahead, Fatima.
I want to jump in on that. I think, I don't know, I'm going to ride for my people a little bit because Black people did not create the whole, like, the vile language that's in music and the representation, because now you see all the women twerking and they half naked and the men, they all talk about the same thing, like Mr. Kevin said, but Black people didn't create that narrative. The white people are the one that's handing out the money and got the labels, and they're the ones paying Black people the money to give in to that stereotypical narrative that they've created. So I guess it really comes down, when it comes to like engaging in those type of things, I think the question for Black people is, at what point do we have morals?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at what point do we have that moral indignity, because they're paying you to act like exactly what they think you are. But because most Black people ain't never seen up. I mean, there's a lot of successful Black people. Let me not ever negate that. But there are Black people that are of lower socioeconomic class that may get the opportunity presented to them, and they've never seen that type of money in their life. So of course they're gonna do whatever the white man tell you to do. You're gonna do it because you ain't never seen that in your life. So I think when it comes to that specifically, like the industry and the representation, we didn't create that, but it's on us to have that dignity to be like, okay, no, I'm not about to represent that.
Just like for prime examples, 2 Chainz, like what would be the issue if you, because being cool is being cool, right? So you could be cool, but he went to college on a basketball scholarship, and
I
he
expect
made
more out of him.
Yeah, and he had like a 3.9.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's never mentioned.
He's our generation, and I expect more. When I found that, I always thought he was like a younger guy.
Yeah.
But when I found out, I was like, man, he's almost same age as me. I expected more out of him as an artist.
Yeah. And why is that not cool? You can't be cool and because you could have said all this other stuff. Like, I literally learned that when he was in an interview on like The View or something. And I was like, what? Because they were bringing it up. Like, we learned that you such and such and went to college and you know, you had a 3.9 and all of this. And he was like, oh, yeah, you know. And then I want to pursue my rap career. You know what I mean? So it's like, come on, sir.
Let me ask this question. And I want Fatima to go first. And she's probably just going to elaborate what she just said. And because I was going to ask it anyway, and she kind of went into it before. So I told you we'll just cover stuff, you know, whatever. So, but I want her to go first since she's the youngest. And I think you're younger than me, so you'll go after her. But I
Who?
just lost it.
Who's younger than you? Me?
Yeah,
I'm almost
I'm a
50.
C. I am 50.
Oh my gosh, I wish you would stop saying
Because I
that.
am.
I am 50. I'm over 50.
Oh, okay.
You made me lose my question. Oh,
Thought I did something.
so here it is. I lost it for a minute. The question is, has your definition of blackness evolved over time? That's the question. So I want you to answer that, and then has it evolved, and how do you see it evolving? I want you to go first since you're the youngest.
Has it evolved over time?
Yeah, as far
Yes.
as you see it.
Yeah, from what I experienced also, yeah.
Right. And where do you see it going from because you're going to be around a little bit longer than all of us, God willing. So where do you see it going as opposed to like when you start to understand, when you got that cognitive discipline to understand who you are, where you're at, and what's happening in the world as a black person, where has it evolved since then? And from today, where do you see it going?
I'm gonna say back when I was a kid, which I'm gonna just say it before anybody else say it, I guess wasn't that long ago, but um I guess, but I guess I gotta start more where I had to create my own narrative of black.
Okay, that's cool.
Um, I come from a family that's very like, yes, they believe black people should have equality and all of the things, but they also are like they're socially conservative but politically liberal, right? So yes, they believe you should have freedom, all those type of things, but they love anything that's not of African descent. Let me put it that way. So if it's something like if it's Hispanic, like for example, my boyfriend's Dominican, they love him down. Love him down. Because if you hear Dominican, you hear Hispanic, you think of lighter skin.
Right. But
If I would have
that's not
brought
true.
it's not,
Yeah.
but I would because I wasn't educated. When the Caribbeans and all that, I wasn't educated because where I come from. But let me bring home like an African or something. They're kind of looking at me like, because when you think African, you think darker skin. So I come from that. So when I was a kid, unfortunately, that's kind of how I moved. That's how I navigated. So I thought my standard of like black and what I thought black was yes, socially conservative, but after a certain skin tone, you're not pretty. And including myself. So I had to create my own narrative. So as a kid, unfortunately, that was my mentality. But growing older and being around my dad, who's very, very pro-black, and being around the people that I hung around, and those experiences is just kind of like, oh, okay. So that narrative that I was brought up on is not true. That's not true. Like, and I've seen the disparity between lighter skin and darker skin. It personally experienced by family as well. So it was just kind of like, okay, so that deterred me. Like, that deterred me from. I ain't gonna lie. I have a lot of healing to do myself, but that kind of like pushed me more towards pro-black. Anything Africanized, I love it. Like I want to be a part of it.
Right.
So that led me to like research that more and like most of my friends are African. Like that led me to that. So that's what I say by my experience and my definition of black has changed over time. To lead me where I am now. But in the future, honestly, I don't see it. Unfortunately, I see the narrative still being the same. I don't, unfortunately, because it's really a culture where people just kind of fit into a box that they want you to fit into. Hence the music. It's just kind of like, I hate to be that person, but I feel like it'll take a miracle or it'll take a big change for people to actually push themselves individually as far as
I
what they
agree.
want their identity to be and what they feel like Black is. Because right now, Black is you getting locked up to the kids,
I,
at least to the
I
kids.
agree.
So it's just yeah.
Before I go to Chavela, I got two questions for you, Fatima. So your
Mm-hmm.
boyfriend's Dominican, right?
Mm-hmm. Afro, don't forget the Afro.
Oh,
Like
okay, okay.
he's of
So,
Black descent.
how serious is your relationship?
Very,
Okay.
very.
So, if y'all have kids, will your kids be Black?
Ugh.
Go ahead, Chavela, your turn. Go ahead, Chavela. So, 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 what's your
Thank
has it
God I
evolved?
don't want kids. I don't even want kids, but I mean, I'm gonna say yes, they will be Black. They just
Okay,
wouldn't be as Black as I would want them to be. Let's just put it like that. Let's just put it like that. They'll be Black because my
okay,
boyfriend, his ancestors go back to Trinidad.
okay,
So yes, they would be Black, but not as Black as I would want them to be, and I would just be a pill I gotta swallow.
okay.
They're going Fatima.
So I mean, yeah.
Woo! Go
What's
ahead,
your other
Chavela.
question?
I ain't messing with Fatima no more.
Um, so for me, going back to, I was raised by my grandparents. So I kind of shared, my grandfather definitely experienced the Jim Crow South. So like, education and being prideful and being Black and who you are was already instilled in me. I think the difference has definitely changed because as I got older, I've stepped into understanding why it was important. Because I remember my aunt when we were younger. I have two cousins that are like 3 years younger than me, but we were kind of like raised like sisters. Anytime we would go somewhere, she would get dolls, books. She would always, and I would get embarrassed as a kid, but she was like, there's no African American dolls here. There's no Black. Where's your Black? And I would be like, oh my God. Let's just leave the story in my head. But now I understand why she was doing that. You know what I mean? Because representation matters. And it was important for her to let us know again that you're beautiful, that our story is important, who we are. So I feel like because I had that already kind of like instilled in me. And then as I went along my journey, I understand things more because I've been put in certain situations. And then I feel just moving forward, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful to try to change the narrative. As I stated, right. I mentor young ladies, college age, and I try to, be transparent, share my story, my mistakes that I've made, and try to help them navigate. As a mentor, yeah, I'm an advisor, but I step into mom role, sister role, all kind of things, just because of life, and they have questions about things, and sometimes they need guidance and they don't have that from the family. So I try to be a good example as much as I can of self-love and just Blackness, period. So for me, I feel like I would just kind of continue that on as much as possible and hopeful that I'm making change or can make change.
Right. For me, I think I've seen some evolution because I was born in the 70s too. So in my 80s, I didn't know a whole lot because I don't think a whole lot was taught to me. But the opportunity to learn was there, and I just kind of started picking up things as I went along. And so at a young age, I started to learn things. I think I started learning. I'll say this. When I moved to Pennsylvania, I learned something about me I didn't know. Because in my household, we didn't grow up with the N word in use. So it's not part of my vocabulary. And when, if I'm using it as a cuss word, nigga, you better get that off my face. But using it as a term of endearment is not in my mindset. I can't do that. But moving to Pennsylvania, and I've told one of my buddies this on one of my other ones that I didn't know that there was a difference between nigger and Negro because it was never a conversation. So I think from then, that's when I started to understand what it was to be black or a different skin tone, because I was growing up around a bunch of white kids at that point. And when I figured out there's a difference between the two ends, and then got called the opposite end, that's when I started to kind of figure this, that, and the other out. Because the black kids would lay into me. Because like when the white kids on school bus would say, call us niggers and all that, they was like, I'm not a nigger, I'm a Negro. And I was like, what? That's the same thing. And they lit me up. I was like, man, no. So that was a learning point for me. And I was like maybe 8, 9, or 10 at that time. So from then, that's when the lights kind of came on for me. And then when I start hearing people say that to me and with disdain and all this, and this guy was yelling at me saying I knocked his Christmas tree lights off. He called me a stupid, whatever. And I told my mom about it because I still wasn't understanding. She said, you should have called your dad so he go there and beat him up. And my dad was a reverend, but he would have went and did it. But, and then when I moved back to Ohio, right in when hip hop was like kicking off, and like I said, because like now the lights is on, and then I'm hearing Public Enemy because my sister's liking it. And I'm like, I don't understand what this is. But then when I start to listen, the lights are on, and I'm getting it, and I'm like all in it. And I saw the evolution because then as I'm getting into hip hop, I'm also getting back into old music like Marvin Gaye and all that. So now I know Earth, Wind, and Fire and all this stuff. And then, growing up with my uncle, he was always playing air guitar to Funkadelic. So what turned me on is music and creativity. And I'm like, what is this? And I started seeing that evolution in that aspect. And then when it stopped in hip hop, like I said, and then when Neo Soul came out, I'm like, okay, now I can go back because Marvin Gaye's album, What's Going On? Yeah, mother, all that, whatever's on. I'm like, man, this sound like
Blues.
Yeah. I said, man, this sound like the Neo Soul stuff we're listening to now. So it evolved, and now it's stopped. So now I see the evolution in our day-to-day culture. I kind of see it as at a standstill. Because I think now that our culture is so rich with opportunity and influence, I think it's getting stagnant. And I think the leaders, I don't really call them leaders, but the people who are out in the forefront of the culture are really misusing it. And I think it puts us at a disservice because the things that are happening, we're not looking at the things that are happening to us and how it's hurting us. Even though we're still moving forward, I think we're still halted. And I'll even, I'll use Puff Daddy as an example. I'm no fan of his anymore, only because on video, he beat that girl down. That was wrong. But then as a coach, everybody like, no, she wanted that when all the stuff came out. She booked those. And I said, but y'all forget. He beat that girl down to a point where she was forced into that. She had to survive. That's what she had to do. So now we're blaming women for the bad things that's going on when they're influenced by the men to do that. And when the culture is willing to forgive again, like R. Kelly, I can't forgive that because he's been saying it in our face for years. He's been singing about it. That's why he was called himself the Pied Piper. That's where the halt comes, because we see the accountability in the things, because I think we're so strong that we have so much influence. Like people, like Kevin said, they copy us. Yeah, they copy us artistically. And if we artistically used our voice to do what needs to be done, we could really change things in society. When I see Asian kids break dancing to James Brown or whatever, something's wrong. You know what I'm saying? Because they're watching us and they're imitating us. So that's why I say I think we're moving forward, but we're at a standstill because the people in front are a poor representation of what's to come. And I think we can get there, but like Fatima said, when does our moral standards kick in? When do we stop praising guys who deliberately, on purpose, have 9 or 12 kids because they think it's cool? You know, things like that.
Yeah.
Because they're in the forefront. And when do we listen to and figure it out? Hold up, I'm damaging this community. Our community, our social structure, I'm messing it up. So when do that kick in? So that's where I'm kind of with it. I think the evolution is there, but it's just it's hitting a roadblock. And that again, like I said, I get passionate about us, and that's what hurts me the most.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you did it from youngin to olden.
Mid youngin.
And
He said young and olden.
I think I hit on this. I think I hit on this earlier about me being blessed to be able to grow up in the 70s. Again, I was born in 65. I don't remember the first 5 years, so there's no influence there. Thank goodness, because that was the tail end of Jim Crow. I'm from West Virginia, so we already know. My mom and dad are from there. So I was blessed to have that nuclear family. And that nuclear family existed of a mom and a dad, brothers and sisters that were taught the conservatives part of just being you. Forget black. We're just talking about being a human being. And those standards were set within our home. Forget what's going on outside the home. There was a queen and a king at home, and then neither one of them was me. And that meant that neither one of us were in charge. Regardless of how big you got, how smart you got, or how fast you got, you still getting caught up. We had to act in a certain way, and there were standards. I don't know where that has gone, but and somebody like me who is conservative would love to see that come back. But I have to be a realistic person. If our children were brought up without that, then they're not going to be that. And if they don't, we're expecting kids to come up with something that they don't understand. If there's no discipline in the house, how are we going to have discipline, period? If you're allowed to do anything and everything at home, how are all of a sudden you going to learn how to get along in this world when there's laws and rules and if you don't understand it, you just don't understand it. Doesn't mean it's going to go away. I've seen, and again, I'm 60 years old. I've seen my evolution go along with how the Black community has evolved. I think I am definitely a representation of somebody who started off the way that I did and how I'm ending up. With that said, I can now, because of the work that I do, I can see the counterpart of it. Those things that my dad and my mom gave me, if they didn't give them to their kids, these are the kids that I'm dealing with, the grandkids that I'm dealing with, is because it's not the child's fault that they didn't get taught. It's because they try to figure it out, and they're figuring out wrong based on an influence outside of the love from their family. Diddy ain't got no love for you because you bought a record. You know, these artists out here, they'll tell you in a heartbeat, don't make me a role model because I'm not a very good one. And they'll tell you that in a heartbeat. Where do I see our community going? I'm with Joe. I think that our community has halted, but I think it's a good thing. Because I think where we're headed is what Chavela said. We're going backwards. We're going backwards a different way. Just as I would say parenting is different, that return back is not a return, but it's a cycle. And we're going back. This country is going back. But when we go back, these young people will tell you in a heartbeat, we are not our ancestors. That's true. Keep telling people.
Right.
Keep telling people that. But guess what? They ain't their ancestors either. So you better be on the right side of it, because we don't want to get into that armed confrontation or where we're headed. Division is power with those people who divide you. There's a reason for it. They don't want you to hate each other just because they want you to hate each other. They want you to hate each other because outside of that hate, that power comes to them. We cannot allow our children to be used in that manner. So yes, we have to halt. We have to stop, because of in the direction that we're going, it's not good. And we got to figure this out. That's why we're doing this podcast, because we want to have people who can figure it out and then influence those young people who then become influencers later on. If we continue going on this way, can you select 10 young people right now that you think is going to be a good influence under the age of 15? And if you can't, then we need to start creating them. Because if not, I'm going to be sitting on the porch rocking back and forth with a shotgun across my lap. Because it's about to get
right.
It's about to get ugly. I ain't going out like that. So I think that I see that's going to happen in the Black community is what we create it to be. And we need to make sure that those people who have created this chaos are not at the table or in the backyard barbecue.
Right.
That's true.
Right. So, what? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I just said mic drop.
Mic drop. So on that note, because we went over an hour, and I see Fatima. No, she ain't. So no, it's cool. This was great. This was good work and powerful. And my dog is reminding me that he needs to go outside. But no, this, like I said, this conversation was good work. So start with Fatima again, because since she's the youngest, go ahead and let us know your social medias where anybody can contact you. Again, let us know what you do. If you have a social media, people can follow you, reach out to you for any advice, and then we'll go to Chavela next, and then we'll close it out.
Well, again, Fatima Manjaroe, the one and only. My Instagram is pretty simple, Fatima Renee. Don't forget the H in Fatima, because then I might have to jump on you. So yeah, Fatima Renee, RENEE_. So you can follow my Instagram. If you got any opportunities to serve the community, hit me up. One piece of advice: stay Black, because you're gonna need that pride later.
Right. Go ahead, Chavela. Any websites or social media handles or anything you might have going on in the community or anything like that?
Yes. So I my Instagram is upper echelon UPPE ECH the number 1 LON on Instagram.
That's exquisite.
It actually was my line name. I was 1 in my line for my sorority. So look out for anything with Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated in the community. We have some things coming up. But that is my Instagram. I have resources for anybody that has struggles with mental health, substance use. I contract with different places. So if you know of anyone that is struggling, I can get them in somewhere, get them help. So I definitely can be a resource for that. And I would say and leave with the words of just believe in yourself, because it's the only one you. So thank you for the opportunity.
All right. Go ahead, Kev.
Just keep an eye out on 5 on the Black Hand Side. We do have another edition coming up. I also am starting I have started my own nonprofit that deals with music and how it relates to how people feel about themselves. Joe is on my board. So it's called Soul in Concert, and that is my email, soulinconsert@outlook.com. Be looking for some things coming through. We're looking at trying to get a building so we can start this thing. Working with young people, teaching them history, Black awareness, Black culture through through soul music and music at large. And it's coming really soon. And hopefully we can make a difference and stop the halt and start moving and making influences out of young people who can be a positive influence for a lot. But thank you, Chavela and Fatima, for coming in. Great conversation. And like I said, there's always a conversation outside of that conversation. So keep it up. Talk to your friends. When Joe gets this all set up and everything, please send it and let people see it and take any kind of thoughts, criticisms, whatever, so we can make it better. It's not about us; it's about all of us. So with that, thanks again for coming in.
Good work. Good work. Yeah, we appreciate everyone who listened to this podcast. I appreciate Chavela and Fatima. For me, when I do this podcast with guests or my other one, when I meet new people, I tell them I don't have friends, I have family. So I appreciate you both coming on here. I love you both, regardless of whatever, what. The best thing about open dialogue and adult open dialogue is that we may not agree on some things, but as adults, we can listen to each other and get our point across and still have respect and love for each other. I don't agree with Fatima and her biracial Dominican babies that's coming. I'm just playing with you, Fatima. No,
and Mr. I hope you know I'm gonna ask you to babysit. I'm gonna drop them kids off too.
Oh,
so.
Hey, you don't want to do that because they'll never leave. I have them working over here. But no, we'll appreciate you coming on. Just look out for 5 on the Black Inside. It's going to be on. Man, I forget. It's going to be on Spotify and some other ones. I forget. It's been a while since we did this. But you can follow me and my wife on our podcast, the Thursday podcast. Look for us on IG and Facebook. Just look for the Two Harks. And on YouTube, just look for Two Harks, the number 2, HARKS. And you'll see that we talk about real love, real talk, and real life. So we talk a lot about relationships, ins and outs, befores and afters. So we have a lot of good conversations. We talk about a lot of things. And also, our Sons of SP Phillips is our sponsor and has a podcast called Elephant Wisdom Podcast, which is your podcast for motivation, inspiration, and domination. So Dominator, don't, it's up to you. My piece of advice is just to pray along the way, keep God first, stay Black and stay blessed is all I have to say. And again, I appreciate my new 2 sisters for coming into the family and doing this, and I absolutely hope we get to do it again.
Yes, sir. Definitely appreciate you.
Yes.
All right, take it easy.